Away.
All right, Councillor Phillips, we are live.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. I am your chair, the chair of the Heritage Richmond Hill Heritage Committee. I am Karen Silovitz from Ward 5. I want to welcome everyone to our February the 6th Heritage Richmond Hill meeting. This afternoon's meeting is an electronic meeting being held pursuant to Section 283, 3.3 of the Municipal Act 2001. I want to begin by welcoming our newest member, Brian Hatt. Brian, I see you are there, and I would like to give you a couple of minutes just to introduce yourself to all of us. And we have Councillor Thompson joining us as well. He usually always joins our committee meetings, which is wonderful. So we have a quorum of members here, but some are missing, which I'll get to later. But I just wanted to give you the opportunity, Brian, to introduce yourself. And from my perspective, I've known you for so long, and I am absolutely thrilled to have you on our committee. So I'll give you the mic for a couple of minutes.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for having me on this committee. I've been a resident of Ward 2 for, as I was just giving some thought, for 35 years. So I've lived in Richmond Hill for 35 years, done a number of things and traveled the world. Heritage has always been of an importance to me. I love maintaining the old, as I call the buildings, the old gals. Currently, I am in the brick and stone business, and I work with architects and designers and masons from across the province on providing material and matching brick on the old heritage buildings. We've supplied brick from for Massey Hall restoration, right up to those 1960 bungalows in Richmond Hill. So anything from about 1970 or earlier, there's a brick for that. So
That's fantastic.
just as an interest, currently working on some projects right now in Chatham and in Toronto, the Assembly Hall and some other projects that are ongoing on those. But it's very interesting to me, and I'm happy to join this group and decided it was time to get involved a little bit. Kind of been absent from doing things in Richmond Hill. I've been school council chair at Crosby and done a whole bunch of different things in Richmond Hill. So it's my chance to get back and start giving back to Richmond Hill as well. So thanks.
Fantastic. Fantastic, Brian. On behalf of the whole committee, welcome, and we look forward to your participation. So back to my notes. It is noted we have received regrets from committee members Bob Berube, Barbara Marr-Irwin, and Nancy Spinks. But as I said earlier, we do have quorum, so our meeting can continue. The public had the opportunity to submit written correspondence regarding agenda items by email to the clerk's office. All written correspondence received by 12 p.m. noon yesterday would have been included on the agenda, but none were received. The public also had the opportunity to apply to appear as an electronic delegation, either by video conference or by telephone, by 12 p.m. noon yesterday, but there were also none received. Therefore, as chair of the committee, I will now call the meeting to order and ask for a motion from a member of committee to adopt the agenda. If you wish to do so, please just raise your hand. Thank you, Agnes. Thank you. So moved. All those in favor, just raise your hand if it's a yes. Thank you. That passes unanimously. Okay, so we have had our call to order. We've adopted the agenda. So do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof from any committee members? Seeing none. Agenda item number 4 is adoption of previous minutes. So 4.1 is minutes Heritage Richmond Hill meeting HRH 0924 held December 5th, 2024, A, that the minutes of Heritage Richmond Hill meeting HRH 24, held December 5th, 2024, be adopted. And as I always say at the beginning of these meetings, I trust that you've all read your minutes and that if you have any questions, now is the time. Could I have a motion from a member of committee to put this on the floor, please, so we can discuss it? Barbara DeMambro, thank you very much. So moved. Is there any discussion from any member of committee with regards to the minutes? Seeing none. Okay, so voting on adoption of previous minutes, moved by Barb DeMambro. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 5 is delegations, and we don't have any. So we've got a pretty short agenda today with only one item as scheduled business, which is 6.1. 6.1 SRBPS 25021 is notice to demolish the buildings at 53 St. Laurent Drive, which is City File D12 07405. Carol, I see, Councillor Davidson, I see your hand up. Is that just to move it forward?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you forgive me? Is there going to be a presentation? I just want to talk about this item.
No, we can. There's no presentation as far as I know.
Okay.
So, okay, that's fine. We have, let me just go through this here. That Heritage Richmond Hill recommends to committee A, that staff report SRPBS 25021 be received. B, that council approve the demolition of 53 St. Laurent Drive. And C, that once the buildings are demolished, 53 St. Laurent Drive be removed from Richmond Hill's Heritage Register. So we have this motion moved onto the floor by Councillor Davidson. And so, Councillor Davidson, you have the floor first.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So this little cottage is very much like some of the others that are still around the Lake Wilcox area. And I don't know if staff would like to say, like, from what I understand by reading the report, is it doesn't reach the criteria to really be designated as heritage. I'd like that confirmed. And that there isn't a huge significance for this cottage or the people that lived there. I just want to confirm that, because that would, I feel like we should focus on the buildings in Richmond Hill with the limited time and limited staff that truly have historical significance. And I'm not reading that in these reports. So I just want confirmation from staff.
I agree, Councillor. Thank you. Pamela, go ahead. You're muted. We still do that. No, I can't hear you.
It's okay, Councillor Slivets, I could take this on if you don't mind.
Okay, sure,
It's
go
fine,
ahead.
don't worry.
Carl.
It's okay.
Thanks.
So thank you for the question, Councillor Davidson. So in the staff report, what we did was we broke it down and explained why this property doesn't merit designation based on the existing criteria. And so we can confirm that, yes, this property doesn't meet any of the criteria, and so it doesn't merit designation, which is why we're in support of the demolition of this project, or essentially we're in support of delisting of this property from the register. That's the idea.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Chair, I really appreciate that even when it doesn't necessarily on first look meet the criteria, I do appreciate the time spent making sure that that's the case, that we're not just quickly making decisions. So I know it goes against the grain here to vote to demolish something, but in this case, if it doesn't truly have significance, I really would love staff to focus on some of the more significant historical buildings in Richmond Hill. So I support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davidson, and I agree with you. Yes, we are put in place simply to protect our heritage, but when we do get a staff report such as this, that is very interpretive of what is before us. I do believe that we are headed in the right direction. Is there anyone else on committee who would like to speak to this matter? If you do, just raise your hand. Barb, go ahead. Barb DeMambro.
Through the chair, it's just reading through the whole report. I think that the staff and the people that did the evaluation really went through all the relative documents and maps and census and everything. So it's like Carol just said, like there was a good comprehensive assessment done. So I feel good from that perspective that there really aren't, there's, it seems like there was nothing, no stone was left unturned. That's all. Thank you.
I agree, Barb. Thank you very much for that. Anyone else on committee who wishes to make a comment? Seeing none, the only other person I would go to is Councillor Thompson, who's not on committee, but we always enjoy his participation and hearing his comments. Go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity. Yeah, in reading the report, it seemed very peculiar, easier for somebody else to say, that this property would have even been listed. So I guess my question to staff, is it that this is something that got listed prior to the current criteria that is established, and that it really just comes down to not, really meeting the criteria of today, and that anybody could have applied at some previous time before this criteria and got it accepted? Because it just seems odd to me that it's even listed based on what we're reading in the report.
Great question. Kunal?
Yes, so through the chair, that was a great question, Councillor Thompson. Thank you so much. So a lot of the properties were listed a long time ago. So this particular property was listed in the 1980s before there was a formal criteria framework in place. So it does predate the current criteria. And so a lot of properties were listed. And the intention of listing, even today, really, not just back then, is really to provide some sort of a semi-formal protection for it, so that when matters like demolitions come up, we then have the ability to do a more thorough report or a review to evaluate if something merits designation. So inspections, sometimes they're visual inspections, sometimes they're based on the date that the homes were built. So they are more of a preliminary listing of these properties, if I can call it that. But yes, to answer your question, Councillor Thompson, it does predate the current mandates and the frameworks.
Okay, so we could potentially start seeing more and more of these as we go along then.
So through the chair, yes, and I believe that's what the Bill 23 designation strategy is doing as well. We're now looking at all of our listed properties and trying to figure out which ones merit designation and which ones can sort of fall off the list.
Okay, through the chair, thank you. Those are all my comments.
Thank you, Councillor. Timothy, I see your hand is up.
Yes, through the chair, I just have a question. I do agree that the property seems to be legitimately not listed even initially. So I mean, there's no question about the fact that that it doesn't meet any of the criteria. My question, I guess, is there is a proposal to do the demolition of the property. Is it true that the development, there's a construction company, a development company going to develop the area around this particular building? I guess it's a question.
Yeah, I think Councillor Davidson can help us with that as well. I don't know if there's an application.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a BAFE application that's been going back and forth for years, and it is 420 townhouses. And while it is on the Oak Ridges Moraine, it's part of the 12% of Oak Ridges Moraine that is designated for settlement. So there is a plan to put over 400 townhouses there. And that's not the only area that they own. So yes, there's a approval that just happened recently. So yeah, big development going in there. But like I said, 12% of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan in 2002 included 12% for settlement and development. And that's what this is.
Yeah, it's an enormous application, but it has come through us at council public meeting. Is that right? Yeah, I believe it. I remember that.
It's actually been approved. It's come all the way to approval because
Yeah.
originally they asked for townhouses and a bunch of 12-story buildings all along Yonge Street, all the way from the beer store in Oak Ridges, if you know where that is, all the way up to Yonge. And now we've got it down to townhouses. That's not to say something won't come up in the future, but yeah, this area is definitely approved for development.
Okay, good to know. Timothy, anything further?
No, thank you. It's nice to know that. It seems to be a very nice area that.
It's lovely. It's Councillor Davidson's area, so it's beautiful. Ward 1. Thank you, Timothy. Okay. Going through our first round again, is there anybody who wishes to speak any further to this matter? Agenda item 6.1. Okay, seeing none. So just from my perspective, I support the staff recommendations. Thank you, Councillor Davidson, for bringing this forward. And I concur with everything that's been said around the table here today. So before us, moved by Councillor Davidson, is agenda item 6.1. Mr. Ban, can we have that on the screen, please, so everyone can read it? Thank you. SRPBS 25021, notice to demolish the buildings at 53 St. Laurent Drive, City File D12 07405. Moved by Councillor Davidson that Heritage Richmond Hill recommends to Council A that staff report SRPBS 25021 be received. B, that Council approve the demolition of 53 St. Laurent Drive, and C, that once the buildings are demolished, 53 St. Laurent Drive be removed from Richmond Hill's Heritage Register. Thank you very much. Ryan, if you could just remove that so I can see the full screen. Thank you. So all those in favor, just raise your hands if you are. Any opposed? Seeing none. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me just get to our agenda. Sorry, I've lost my screen. One sec. Okay. So that concludes our official business on today's agenda. Mr. Ban, can you confirm, please, the meeting date for March?
Thank you. Through the chair, or to the chair, the next meeting of Heritage Richmond Hill is scheduled for Thursday, March 6th, 2025 at 3 p.m.
Thank you very much. Perfect. Okay, so we'll see you all then. Could I have a motion from a member of committee for adjournment, please? Just raise your hand if you so wish. Mr. Hatt. Thank you very much. Moved by Brian Hatt. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none. Thank you very much, members of committee and staff, for all your work and the clerk's office. Greatly appreciated. We'll see you next month.
Good to
Bye-bye,
see you,
everybody.
Thank
Brian.
you.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
Okay.